Hey, it's Doug Giles with ClashDaily.com. Got my good buddy Josh Kelly. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Doug.
Purple Heart recipient Josh Kelly. We have him out at Lane Christensen's incredible stonking whitetail stud ranch, and you put the Josh Kelly smackdown on a magnificent whitetail that I think even he was broken up and stuff on some of his
Right.
points, and
Been
he was
fighting.
still sporting like at least 12 with the missing times and stuff.
Right,
I want
correct.
to talk about you and what makes you tick, what makes you as a young man, say, in a post 9/11 environment, and what motivates a young person to get into that kind of saddle and ride it.
Well, obviously I'm not that young, but
Folks, he's 38.
38
Even though
years
he's
old.
rocking this whole Billy Gibson ZZ Top beard, this is a young man, and that beard is a thing of beauty.
yes.
I don't care what anybody says. That's an awesome looking beard.
At the age of 30, I joined the military. It was just something that I prayed about for years.
So I think 30 is a young man as a 50-year-old. Go ahead.
It was I had been doing all kinds of different laboratory work, a lot of medical work, and I had it in my heart for years to at some point join the military. If it wasn't for this engagement, it would have been the first time since the Revolutionary War that a member of our family has not
Mm.
been in a conflict. So I enlisted at 30 years old, and it says C911. That's what changed. That's what changed everything for me.
Yeah.
It took me a couple of years to get everything financially set up for my wife and family, but I was
That's what your
able-
wife think as I'm guessing a newly
She-
married couple, and
Yes.
then all of a sudden, boom, 9/11 happens, and you're like, from a long history of, military men, it's like I'm not going to stand by and watch this go down and not do anything. I mean, was she down with it, or?
She was. It was something I brought out blunt, straight to the point.
Yeah.
I told her that I was thinking about it, but I wanted to pray about it with her. And it's something that I felt that I should do. And we prayed together, and she blessed it and prepared from that point on.
Yeah.
It was tough.
Let's fast forward to first major combat injury.
First major, I considered it major. It was my first Purple Heart. The third day in Iraq, I was in Al Assad, near the Syrian border, right in between Al Assad and the Syrian border. We had a IED go off under a bridge, sent our vehicle plummeting down the hill, and we were dropped in a position to take a lot of fire. There were a lot of guys set up firing at us. It took a round to the forearm at that point. Day 3, welcome to Iraq. And,
Yeah.
As a combat medic, it was very gratifying.
So you got a bullet through the forearm,
Through the
been
forearm.
blown down a hill, right?
Yes.
And you're working on your buddies in the midst of having your forearm, which I'm guessing was pretty jacked up. Is that the incident that happened that you were telling me about a couple of years ago, where you
No.
guys have got to hear this. This is, and I know you hate talking about it, but this is some crazy sacrificial honor, integrity, service, brotherhood stuff that I've ever heard or even read about.
I had a good friend that I knew from San Antonio. I'm from Austin, Texas, and we'd known each other growing up. We met together at Fort Benning for boot camp there, just circumstance. He went on to his job training. I went to mine, and we met up in Iraq. And he was with the Army. I had already been transferred to the Marine Corps. We were there in support of the Marines, and we had a vicious on the ground patrol firefight that surprised us all. It was a bad deal. We did have one killed and 3 wounded, but one of the fellows that was there on the patrol with us was my buddy. And you know how time comes back around. He had both legs amputated on a roof falling down from a building. Amputated both legs. It was crimped on his legs. So thankfully that was the situation, because it wasn't bleeding. Both femoral arteries is going, but he also was burned. We were getting hit with RPGs and all kinds of stuff. His upper body was burned. I was able to throw a burn blanket on him, and still his arms were crisp and burned. I couldn't find any way to get an IV in him or blood to him, because his legs at this point were twice the size of normal. And then he actually burst below, and blood flowing like a garden hose. And it didn't have long. Against protocol, I went ahead. We were the same blood type, which is evident on our helmets. And praise the Lord that we were. You know, I didn't know it till I read his helmet, but I went ahead and did a straight, non-filtered blood transfusion from myself to his brachial artery, and was able to keep blood supply. I put a tourniquet on myself and kept pressure going to it. I was able to use the fusion bubble to keep blood going. They gave me enough time to get tourniquets on both of his legs. He made it out of there.
Amazing. Another story that you told me about was you guys were in some massive firefight, and one of your buddies, you're putting one guy back together, and another buddy was hit, and you asked him if he was okay, and it's like, I've got some pain in my stomach, and then you found that just a little cut above his navel, right?
I believe you're talking about the one with the that was gut shot.
Right.
Had hit the aorta.
Right.
Yes. He had, felt like almost a piece of hot brass or something had gone down his shirt. Didn't know what had happened. It's just below the plate, and checked him over. Couldn't find anything. There's no blood visible. Asked him if he was okay, and he said, "Sorry, I'm having stomach pain." And so I sat him up, tried to get an IV in him. Had another guy, another part of the unit, another fellow that was on patrol with us go down, and got him pulled over. Had them both side by side. Got an IV started. The second casualty was a shot to the upper chest, had a tension pneumothorax, and which was my first one. This was early on in the tour as well. So I was able to get a tube stuck into his chest, relieve the pressure, so his lung could halfway work, keep him alive for a
Were
while.
you guys drawing fire at this time?
Drawing fire, indirect. At this point, we had moved to a halfway safe.
So with this thing
safe
cutting
place.
his aorta, how many seconds you got?
With the aorta cut, you barely have a minute. The saving element was it was compressed. It was compressed by it being that it went in a small entry, no exit. Everything was compressed in there. I know all the guys are taught, feeling for a pulsating mass in the stomach. I turned around and looked at him. It had been just 15 seconds since I moved them both together. Starting with the pneumothorax, I turned around and my other buddy was just completely pale, white. Tore his vest off, took everything apart, and found just above his navel, found an entry wound. And at that point, I could feel just the whole abdomen throbbing, whoosh, whoosh with the heartbeat. And again, against protocol, I was able to find it directly. It went through several layers of intestines. He got shot, but it hit the aorta right against his back, and the bullet had hit the backbone. It's kind of splintered off. Was able to get a clamp above the where the bullet had hit, stop the blood flow. Of course, that stopped all blood flow from here down. Essentially the same as put a tourniquet on both legs. You got several hours. You're okay. So
Right.
That was the theory I was going with.
So all this is going down in nanoseconds. I mean, you got under a minute to save his life. You're breaking rules. You're under fire, right? I mean, you're getting
Right.
shot at.
It was one of those times I really didn't think we were going to make it.
Here's my
out.
question, man. After those couple of testimonies and stuff, I mean, you're pumping blood into your buddy's, could be dying veins. Saved his life. You're going against the rules and not being sanitary, where it's either save this guy or he dies and I get sanctioned or something.
Right.
You're a freak of nature when it comes to, yeah, you are, man. I mean, aside from the beer, which is freaky, you're a freak of nature as far as a human being goes. I remember we were hunting in Texas, and this goat couldn't deliver its kid, and she delivered its stillborn, and Josh rushes in there and is doing mouth to mouth to the goat to try to keep it alive. I mean, what makes you do this kind of stuff where most people are thinking, I ain't gonna get thrown in jail, I'm not gonna sit here and stick some kind of unfiltered, could be unsanitary thing. And I mean, this is just a bizarre way of going about life.
In a situation where everything's a blur, you don't know if you're going to live or die, no matter what my echelon of medical care is, as far as I can go, if I can save somebody in any way, if I have to completely open them up and clamp a heart valve, whatever it took, I was going to do it if it would save them. Just life in general. If I can keep it going, do whatever I can. There's nothing. I think everybody does have that feeling of wanting to save a friend, and would do anything to do so. And I just happen to have the experience with animals all my life, working with veterinarians off and on, where I was suturing blinded, and to go into that, it was the same type of situation. So when it was everything going 100 miles an hour, there's just no thought to it, really.
Josh Kelly, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Doug.